Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. 1 in 5 Americans will be impacted by depression or a mental illness during their lifetime. Today on the show, Bob and Raleigh identify and discuss the different types of depression that many of us have felt and talk about what causes us to feel that way. They explore the physical health problems that can arise from depression and how to avoid them. Life events can be a source of depression, and Bob and Raleigh share some positivity-boosting techniques that can easily be added to your everyday life to help you knock those negative feelings out of your mind and replace them with your own highest thought for yourself. So sit back, relax, and get ready to live forever young.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live Forever Young Radio. I'm Bob Gilpatrick. I'm here with Raleigh Culp. Raleigh, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Bob.
Great. We're here in St. Petersburg, Florida. We're going to talk first a little bit about what depression is. And so depression can be many different things, but just in general, it's feelings that people have of feeling down, feeling like things are not okay, things are not going their way, a lack of optimism, and it can go all the way to major depression or even catatonic depression, where people get so depressed that they literally can't get out of bed. And so people that are in a situation like that obviously need to be under the care of a qualified health practitioner, a psychiatrist, psychologist, etc. And today we're not going to be talking about that type of depression. We're going to be talking about situational depression, which is another type. A little bit about bipolar disorder, which is depression coupled with anxiety.
I know a lot of people have that problem. I see a lot of commercials for medications for that particular one.
And also we're going to talk about seasonal affective disorder, also called SAD, which is the way people tend to feel during the winter time when there's not as much sunlight. Okay?
Yeah.
And so there are many different causes of depression that people need to be aware of. And one of the main ones is poor nutrition. And research shows this over and over again, that if people are low in vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin,
we talk about that one a lot,
part of seasonal affective disorder, and B vitamins and omega-3s, that those are potential causes of depression. And also another cause is inflammation. So if people have general inflammation, their brain's going to be a little bit inflamed, and this can be caused by many things, toxicity, but usually it's because your body's creating inflammation from a poor diet, particularly too much sugar, too much high glycemic index carbohydrates.
Yeah, those create a lot of what we call free radicals.
Yeah, exactly. Another of the causes is life events. So here we are at the beginning of 2021. There were a lot of life events in 2020 that were unexpected and weren't pleasant.
I think there was enough life events in this year for a lifetime.
Yes, pretty much. And for some people, it absolutely was.
It was.
And so, and life events don't just have to be things like what happened in 2020, a death in the family, loss of a job, a loss of your boyfriend or girlfriend, and you're heartbroken, events like that. And one in particular that hits people really hard is the loss of a pet also.
Yes.
So there's those life events. There's also the whole issue of your microbiome, right? Your gut. You have good and bad bacteria in your gut. If you don't have enough of the good bacteria, you can be prone to depression because those bacteria are creating metabolites that are involved in the creation of your neurotransmitters, such as serotonin. And without enough serotonin, you're going to feel depressed. So sometimes it's a matter of your microbiome.
And actually, so the serotonin, a lot of people take medications, they're serotonin releasers, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. It results in a higher uptake of serotonin.
And I think a lot of people don't really realize that there's such a connection between your gut and your brain because of the manufacture of
of the neurotransmitters
neurotransmitters.
and precursors, and they travel along a neuronal pathway.
So what you're saying is like if your gut microbiome's off, which is where your neurons are made.
Your neurotransmitters.
Sorry, neurotransmitters are created.
Yeah.
Then those neurotransmitters are going to be kind of tainted, and then they get up here and they're not functioning.
Or you don't make enough, and so you don't have enough.
Oh, well, that's even worse. Yeah, I'd rather get something than nothing.
And we'll talk about neurotransmission and how to make sure you get enough into the receptor cells.
Just sounds interesting. That's all.
Yeah. And another one, Raleigh, is poor sleep. People that constantly do not get enough sleep tend towards depression. Or
just cranky.
Yeah. Another really big one is an illness. If somebody becomes ill and they are feeling really bad, they can't get out of bed, they're in the hospital, it's going to lead to depression. And illness also leads to isolation.
Right.
You're not out and about around a lot of people. And so isolation causes loneliness.
Right.
And loneliness leads to depression.
Yep.
And another thing that leads to depression very frequently is if someone's had a stroke.
Oh, wow.
So you want to pay particularly close attention to that issue if you or one of your friends or loved ones had a stroke. The other thing that can cause depression is dementia. So if someone has vascular dementia, Alzheimer's disease, they can get very depressed. And the reverse also, if someone has depression, it can mimic dementia.
Oh.
And so when I used to be an administrator in nursing homes, people would come from the hospital with dementia, and that was their diagnosis. And our attending physicians would treat them for depression, and their dementia would disappear. They didn't actually have dementia that was, true dementia. It was dementia that came on because of the depression, and it was easily curable.
Wow.
All right.
That's pretty amazing.
And so those are the main things that are going to cause issues like this. Another big one, which we'll get into in a minute, is inside your brain. You do have these neurotransmitters that need to be in balance so you feel good. Serotonin being one of the main ones. And you have to be able to make enough serotonin, but you also have to have the receptors, because serotonin is going to sit in a cell in your brain, and it's going to shoot a little BB of serotonin across to a receptor.
Right.
And that receptor is where the magic happens, where the metabolic pathways occur that make you feel good.
Okay.
And so you want to have enough supply, but you also want to have enough receptors. So we'll talk about how you can get more receptors.
Okay.
And not only that, but for the little BB of serotonin to make its way across to the receptor, it's riding on a synapse.
Oh, wow.
And there's an electrical potential to that synapse. And if that electrical potential gets too low, the BBs won't make it across.
Oh, so not enough energy.
Yeah. So we'll talk about how you can also increase that electrical potential.
Pretty cool, man.
Okay.
That sounds neat.
And so in terms of what to do, kind of to start with, is looking at your nutrition. You want to first know some things about your level of nutrition, and with blood tests, you can check your vitamin D3 level.
We always talk about D3. That is one of the most, if not the most important ones.
Yep. I want to check that first. A lot of times, if people start increasing the amount of D3 they're taking or begin taking it for the first time, their depression gets better right away.
Cool.
Okay. The other thing is you want to have your blood sugar checked, not only your fasting blood sugar, but your A1C.
Right.
And you also want to check your C-reactive protein.
Okay.
As we said, inflammation can cause depression.
Right.
And C-reactive protein, or CRP, is your measure of inflammation, and you can endeavor to get it down.
Right.
Right, by using nutritional products. So obviously the ones you want to use is vitamin D3.
Right.
Okay. And also omega-3s. Okay. Omega-3 fatty acids
Really?
is another really good thing to pay attention to. most people consume way too many omega-6 fatty acids.
Those are the bad ones.
Those are the bad ones, and they come in processed foods. And to have omega-3s from things like wild-caught northern salmon and the like, or taking supplements of krill oil or fish oil is really good for balancing out that ratio of omega-3 to omega-6.
I've heard that the omega-3s are really good for brain health. They're like
Right.
really good.
Yes. And then, of course, B vitamins, too, are very important for mental health.
Okay.
And to keep you from being depressed. If you're, if you get your test back and your C-reactive protein is high, if it's 3, that's kind of in the middle, you're probably not going to be depressed from that, but it will lead to other problems down the road.
Right.
But if your CRP is above 3, you want to endeavor to get it down as fast as you can. You need compounds that are antioxidants.
Right.
The ACE vitamins, A, C, and E, selenium, zinc, SOD, trimethylglycine, all of those things are in the Boomers Forever Young products, Boomer Boost, and Gladiator Barley.
The barley and the boost have all that stuff
And
in there.
oftentimes we hear people say when they start taking these products that they were taking them for their physical health, but they all of a sudden now they're starting to feel better.
Yep.
And they're getting more energy. They're feeling better. They feel like getting out and about, exercising. Exercise is a really good antidote for depression.
It is. The more you move, the less you have less focus on the depression. You get your mind moving and you get back into action, man.
Yeah. And then when you exercise, you secrete endorphins.
Yes.
Right? Endogenous morphine makes you feel good.
And actually, when I used to do cross country, I didn't quite realize the chemical process, but about halfway through the run, you get this rush, and you just like zero in on what's right in front of you, and you just don't stop till you get there. It's really weird, but it's
endorphin high.
It's a true phenomenon.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and you
It
get
is.
the same thing from playing basketball.
Right. Any sport, anything, moving, getting out there. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
And so those are some of the nutritional aspects that people can take advantage of. We certainly can help people with that at Boomers Forever Young.
Yep.
A couple of other really great things, Raleigh, which we've practiced together and you've seen the benefits of, is the emotional freedom technique.
Yes.
Okay, so if someone is feeling depressed, say, for example, because their cat passed away. This happened to me once, maybe 20 years ago. It was a very, very sad day, and for the next few days, we were depressed. Okay, now that's natural and normal, but if it lingers on, and I have a friend right now where that's happening, where it's lingering on. It's been months. Okay, and so
It's a long time.
People need to know how to do the emotional freedom technique, and they can do an exercise where you tap on your fingertips on the side of your nail, and you could repeat a phrase that says something like this. Even though up until now I thought that I had to continue to feel depressed because of the death of my cat, I completely love and accept myself. And I'm so grateful now that I realize it's okay to begin to get over it, to transform my grief into simple sadness, and begin to feel at complete peace. Okay? Cross your hands across your heart and take a deep breath in. And let your chin drop down while you take a breath out. And sit quietly. Very effective technique for helping with depression, whatever the cause is, whether it was from an illness, from a stroke, or any type of a life event. Right? Are you feeling relaxed, Raleigh?
Yeah, sorry. I got a little quiet there because it does. It works every time.
Makes you feel
it really
very,
does.
very relaxed and calm and serene. Right? Very good antidote. Right? And so the other couple of things that are really, really effective for helping with depression, one is a device called Inner Balance. It comes from the HeartMath company.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it on another show. So cool.
Put the clip onto your ear, and you open up an app on your cell phone, and there's a transponder that communicates information about your body to the app on your cell phone.
Through Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
Pretty cool, man.
And so essentially what it is, when you open up the app, there's a mandala a little bigger than the size of a quarter. It's really colorful, and it will shrink and expand according to the setting you give it, usually about 5 seconds out, 5 seconds in. And you sync your breath to it, and you keep your mind focused on what you're grateful for.
Right.
So, and as this occurs, there's these little boxes around the outside of the circular mandala.
Yep.
And they begin to fill in with colors, and they're filling in based on how well you're doing.
Right,
and
like your progress kind of.
Yes. And so this is very effective because they say that the average American is of the belief that things are not okay 95% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
This leads to depression.
Yeah, obviously.
So the opposite of things aren't okay is I'm in gratitude. I'm lingering in gratitude.
We always like to linger.
Because when you linger in gratitude, things are okay because you're focusing on what is okay.
Correct.
And so as you do this, you send a signal from your frontal cortex, your brain, to your heart muscle. Your heart begins to beat differently, and your heart is constantly sending signals to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular case, sending a signal to the amygdala. And the amygdala is a seat in your brain that determines if there's an emergency, if things are okay, not okay, and signals your frontal cortex, which then signals your heart. So you're creating a change by using your conscious focus on gratitude. You're changing the way your heart beats, which is changing the signal going to your amygdala. And as you practice, you can be of the belief that things are not okay, maybe only 90% of the time, then 80, then 70, then 60.
Right.
And as you keep going and keep practicing over the weeks, you can become a person who believes that things are okay almost all the time, unless there's a real emergency or a life event. All right. But this is a really excellent device to help create pattern interrupts and to help people to train their mind to focus on what they're grateful for.
Yeah, it's like a mind video game, a gratitude video game.
Yes,
it really is, and it's cool because once you get to a certain level, you can up your challenge. So like if you start out on level 1, then you move to level 2, and they give you a review of every session.
Of every session, right.
And if not just if, but to help you try to get your variable pattern right, they'll show you a readout on a chart. And if you do well, they actually give you like awards. Like unlock an achievement on Xbox or whatever it is.
It's gamified.
It's gamified, and it kind of makes it obviously something that is entertaining, and you don't really realize how much it helps until you put it into practice. And this helps you get it into practice.
Yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely, really good device. The last device we're going to talk about is called a Fischer-Wallace stimulator.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So
he's been around for years, and not a lot of people know about these things. I can't believe that.
More people need to know about the Fischer-Wallace stimulator. It was originally called the Liss stimulator, Liss, invented by Dr. Saul Liss, who was a friend of mine. And Chip Fischer purchased the business from the estate of Saul Liss when he passed away a number of years ago, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Right? And kept the company alive. And so what this is it's like a TENS machine, and it's got pads with wires coming out of them that you wet the pads, put them onto your temples, secure it with a headband, and turn on the electrical power on the device. And you only turn the power on very slowly until you feel a tingling on your skin, and then you turn it back so you don't feel anything.
Okay.
The treatment is below threshold, so it's not like an electric shock.
Right.
It's a tiny little electrical current, but the type of wave and the type of pulsation, the on-off of it, was all discovered and patented by Dr. Liss.
Wow.
And knowing exactly the pulses that help to raise the electrical potential at the synapses, but not only that, inside the receptor cell, so that you have this metabolic pathway of serotonin going to the receptor and creating action in the receptor.
Really?
Yep. And so
all through an electrical current?
Yes. And so there's many, many, many thousands of success stories about people using the Fischer Wallace stimulator.
Isn't it approved
to help with depression?
Isn't it approved by the?
It is FDA approved for treating depression, treating anxiety, treating insomnia.
Why wouldn't we try that before pills?
Well, you know, the more that people learn about it and the more doctors that learn about it, the more it'll become.
I guess that's why we're talking about it, I guess.
Exactly. So you need a doctor's order for that, and you can work with the Fischer Wallace company to secure that.
Oh, okay.
And they're very inexpensive, and they have a guarantee after 30 days if it's not working for you, you can send it back. I've never seen it not work for someone to help their depression.
Well, that's 1,000% batting average.
Yeah, as they say, it works really well, but only always.
I love it. That's funny.
Okay. Now, Raleigh, I also want to talk about the whole aspect of people who are lonely. Right?
Oh,
because you have, and we're going to do a whole show just on loneliness later.
We'll just
because there's
touch
so
the
many
surface.
people.
Yeah, we'll just touch the surface.
And way more than you might think. Okay? A lot of people that live alone or they're lonely even living with someone else because of poor communication.
Right.
Okay. So, but for people that are lonely, it's very, very important that you reach out and try to socialize in some way because loneliness actually, through a pathway, leads to inflammation.
Really?
Yeah. And so you want to be, the very first and best thing to do is to reach out to your church, your synagogue, etc., to reach out and say, I want to become a member, or if you're already a member or a parishioner, you want to use that as a way to meet new people and be around people.
That's
because
a great
it's
idea.
not just for Sunday or Saturday, there's all kinds of groups all throughout the week, and you make new friends, and you just have to get out of the house and do that, and make friends with someone at church that will come and pick you up if you don't have a way to get there, or the church van, whatever it is.
Right.
And that's the easiest way to do it. But then also just to keep your mind focused on socializing. Right. I remember a friend of mine whose mom was in her 90s, and she lived by herself, and her form of socializing was to go to the grocery store every day.
Oh.
And she didn't even always buy something.
Really?
But they served coffee at the grocery store.
Ooh.
And she would go from her car and grab the closest grocery store shopping cart she could find because it helped her walk.
Right.
And she'd come into the grocery store and she'd go get a cup of coffee and she'd take a sip, put it in the top of her thing, and she would go around the store, and everybody in the store knew her by name. All the people that worked there knew who she was.
That's great.
Lots and lots of the people that were shopping knew who she was. And she would spend a whole hour or two in the grocery store socializing.
Wow. So you're not only out there meeting people, but you're walking around, you're getting activity, you're seeing something different. Hey, whoever thought the grocery store could turn into such a great place to socialize?
Exactly. And the 2 times that I was there with her,
Yeah.
she had a gigantic smile on her face the entire time she was there. It was going on for so long, I had to go out and wait in the car.
Oh, man.
Right?
I hate going to the grocery store to shop. And then, let alone spend another 4 hours in there.
Right.
That's
And
okay,
so-
though. If
and
it works,
was
it works.
just wonderful. Now, that leads us to another thing that people can do, which is grocery store ministry.
Grocery
And
store
so
ministry.
grocery store ministry is a situation where, especially during times where we still have to wear masks, okay, there's a lot of places you can't go.
Correct.
But you can go to the grocery store. So
That's true.
here's
It's
the thing.
essential. It's an essential thing.
So when you're going to shop for food, or even if you're not, go to the grocery store and focus your mind on the good things you're going to do for other people. Famous man once said, when times are tough, keep your mind focused on the good things you're going to do for other people. So it's easy at the grocery store, even though they can't see you smile, you can smile with your eyes and you can say things. Wow, your baby's really beautiful. I really like your shirt.
That's right.
Isn't it a great day today? Oh, I see you're getting some organic cabbage.
Hey, it's on sale.
What are you going to do with that? What are you going to make with that? Right?
That's awesome.
And so a lot of times there are people in the grocery stores who are there to shop, but they're actually feeling depressed or lonely. And it doesn't take much, a smile, a look in your eye, a kind word to make other people feel better. And guess what? That can be your way out of your own depression, right? Because what are you doing? You're focusing on what you're grateful for. The ability to recognize this beautiful child, the ability to recognize this amazing person that God created, the ability to recognize how beautiful their eyes are.
You know what you've done? You've gone from lingering in the gratitude to actively creating gratitude.
Yes.
Which is really where you want to be all the time.
It's the gratitude of recognition, right? I'm grateful I'm able to recognize these wonderful things about all these people. And I'm grateful to God for giving us so many beautiful people on this planet. Now, what it leads to eventually is you might even say, I'm grateful to be alive.
That's right.
Right? Now, feeling grateful to be alive is the ultimate, right?
Right.
Because it's like, wow, thanks to God for giving me this life, and I'm actually enjoying myself here on earth, right? I'm grateful to be alive. Very special neurochemistry happens when you're grateful to be alive.
Really?
And it's almost impossible to feel depressed when you're grateful to be alive.
That's really pretty profound.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And so those are the basic things to know about depression. Obviously,
there's a lot more, of course.
Obviously, you want to be under the care of your physician if you are having major issues with depression.
Right.
If it's mild and it's seasonal affective disorder, for example, take more vitamin D, spend as much time getting sunlight as you can. Now, here's a really good thing related to sunlight to know. So when the sun first comes up in the morning, there is a combination of this blue and yellow light that's occurring together. It turns out that combination of light is very, very good for setting your biorhythms and your mood. And there's something also magical about the combination of colors with sunsets. And so people will say, it's good to get sunlight and it's good to avoid blue light in the nighttime so you can go to sleep. But it turns out there's a lot more to it than that.
Really?
And that if at all possible, you want to spend some time with the sunrise or shortly after sunrise up to an hour after sunrise. That type of light is still lingering. The same with sunset. Sun goes down an hour after sunset. You still have that same phenomena of light. And so for people with seasonal affective disorder, pay attention to that. And lastly, you can always also get a light. There are mechanical lights designed for helping people with SAD that you can actually sit in front of and receive a mimic of the light from the sun. And it will actually help to reset your brain so the seasonal affective disorder will go away. My mom had seasonal affective disorder. They didn't have lights back then, but she would sit in a bay window where the sun came across the sky in the south and just trying to get sunlight. And she would feel depressed during the winter. And that's how I ended up in Florida, because my mom wanted to come to Florida in the sun. January and February to get some sun and to feel better. And one of my sisters went to school at Eckerd College. Back then it was Florida Presbyterian. So in the 60s, we would come to visit and have a vacation for my mom, and I got to come from upstate New York in the cold, snowy weather.
Down to Florida, baby.
When I turned 50, I was like, I'm moving to Florida.
It's funny how life mimics what you've done before.
And it might even be that the phenomena of seasonal affective disorder is why I'm living here.
Hey, man.
So there's a silver
Something
lining.
good can come from it, right? Hey, well, that's better than nothing. But hey, I have to say, with all these new techniques, with the tapping, of course, we know about this Fischer Wallace, which has been around forever, but people haven't discovered it. So take a look for that. We'll have some information about it on liveforeveryoungradio.com. It'll be involved with this podcast, so when you see it, go ahead and take a look.
And inner balance.
And I was just about to say, and we'll also have the information for the inner balance. And then the new thing about this grocery store ministry, that's kind of a cool concept that I think you came up with.
No, I heard about it from my girlfriend, Nancy.
Well,
it was her idea.
Dude, all right. So Nancy is the creator of the grocery store ministry.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. That's really good stuff because especially in this time of year when it's getting cold, you can't get out, find a way to get and be social.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So, Raleigh, thanks for being here with us.
Awesome, Bob. Thank you. I'm glad to be here as usual.
Thanks everyone for listening and watching, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Check us out at liveforeveryoungradio.com.